Good afternoon for everyone tuning in. We're here for another part of our Wednesday creativity workshops. My name is Clara Galan, and I lead our Global Educator Community programs here at Adobe. And I'm thrilled to be joined here today by Chana Messer, who is an artist designer, Adobe ACA instructor, special seminar leader, and curriculum advisor at the Annenberg School of Communication, USC in Los Angeles. She's also a fantastic Adobe Education leader and Adobe community professional. So thank you so much, Hannah, for joining us today and taking the time to share.
Thank you, Clara. I'm very happy to be here. And I will start with actually sharing my screen. And I'm going to first go in and share my Spark. And I actually created a Spark presentation about the subject. And I have kind of a disclosure. Do you guys hear me okay? Okay, it's loading and it's slow. Okay, so this is me working at my home office, and you see my little dog that's sitting there. And I want to talk a little bit about social media and Adobe apps. And just a little disclosure before I start. It's all my workflow and the way I work with the Adobe apps and the way I do my social media. And you might not have anything new with the things I'm telling you, just my suggestions, the way I work with my workflow. So one of the main things that I'm using lately is Adobe Spark. And I made the entire presentation here in Adobe Spark. And this is me thinking when everything started with social media. You see the old Twitter, Birdie, even. It's like, what are you doing? Where are you posting? Where are you starting? Is it LinkedIn? Is it Facebook? Is it Pinterest? Is it Instagram? Everywhere. So where do you start? And then I tell this also to my students because they always ask me, where do I go from where I start? And I tell them, you know what? That's going to be your personal kind of like ideas where to start and where to go through. So I start with Adobe Spark Post, and sometime later I'm going to do maybe Adobe Spark Pages for something a little more involved. I work with Adobe Illustrator, Adobe Photoshop. I will definitely prototype XD for social media campaign. So sometime when I'm hired to be a campaign, instead of using it in Photoshop, I will start prototyping it in XD. And then, believe it or not, I'm using a lot of the Adobe mobile apps. And then the questions are, where am I posting? So usually I post on Instagram, Twitter, Facebook, not as much as I used to, Pinterest and LinkedIn. But I'm really doing a lot of Twitter, Instagram, and LinkedIn. That's when most of my, and of course, if I do Facebook, I try to do the dedicated Facebook places, like the art Facebook pages that I have and all kind of stuff like that. So I do have like 5 pages in, actually, that I manage in Facebook. I have my art and I have my design and I have my Illustrator user group, and then I have a few others that I'm working with. So the way I look at it is images. Capture fun images and celebrate the moment that you want to promote when you start using stuff on social media. What do I use? I have a DSLR camera that I use any now and then, but believe it or not, I use 90% of the time, I use my iPhone because I like to capture a moment and then go and combine it together. So you won't see me doing a lot of just plain images. You see me doing combination images. So here are some ideas. On the left side, it's me in an art show and somebody captured me, but it's not one image. It's like 3 images or 4 images that I end up going to one of the Adobe mobile apps and putting it together and then played with it and then posted it. And then I do have like other images together. This is kind of a plain image from another, but you can see here. So one of the things that I wanted to start talk to you about when I finish kind of this presentation is talk to you how I work with Adobe Spark. And you see most of these images here are social media with Adobe Spark. And you can see here, this is actually just when I came back from Adobe Max last year. And after a crazy week, you can see me with the Adobe Spark cup of coffee and the Adobe Spark socks. Then another image here from another trip that I had. And then these are just captured moment from my Adobe Spark. So while we're doing that, I'm actually going to jump into Adobe Spark and show you a little bit how I work with it. Some of you probably know how to work with that, but I'm going to jump over, leave this presentation, and I am going to go into my Adobe Spark page, and then I'm going to go in Adobe, okay, Spark. I prepared everything and then I flew out of the internet before, and that's what happened. But this is my Adobe Spark area. And you see I've been really, really busy. I also have a brand in Adobe Spark, and because if it's a paid one, you can go and create your own brand. And then I also have my regular stuff. So I'm going to look first at Adobe Post. And this is some of the posts that I've been doing for a while. And you can see here some of them, and click another one and another one and bunch of posts. So how do I start working with Adobe Post? I'm going to click here and click on the plus sign. And here what I get. I have graphics, web page, and video. So the graphics are basically the post. And then if I click on graphics, they give you suggestion. This is actually my brand because this is my logo and the colors I'm using when I do something with branding. And you can create it only if you have a paid Adobe Creative Cloud. If you don't want to have a brand, Spark is free. I'm going to start from scratch. So that's what I like to do a lot. And then I can decide on a size over here. If I go directly to the Instagram, I want to go in square. I have a Facebook area, YouTube, any poster, landscape, Twitter, and of course I can do any custom sizes that I want. These are the most popular ones. And I'm going to click here and click next. And this is what I have here. So I'm going to go in and choose a photo or upload. And then if I'm going to go back here, it just tells me what to start doing. I can go back here and start clicking on an area, and then I can, on the right side, you can see I have all the component of the stuff that I want to do. I can go in and add an image. I can upload a photo, and then I prepared some photos that I have, and then I'm going to go in and bring just a simple photo. And this is, by the way, a photo that I made in one of the Adobe mobile apps. It was a regular photo that I went in and played with it. It was, I think it was Adobe Mix. And then I can go in and filter it right away. So that's one of the new things that you have now in Adobe Spark Post. I can go and flip the image if I want. And I can go in and decide to add another photo. And then I can go also and decide that I can add an icon or add even another photo. And then I can upload another one and then click over here. And let's say if I have something with the same aspect ratio over here. And then I have kind of like two photos, one next to each other. And that's how you saw before that I did few things with different kind of photos. And then I created some kind of a design. What else can I do here? I can go in and double click and then go in and change whatever type that I want. So I can go back here and change, let's say, what do I want to type here? And I can go and add the text and I can say fall season. And then I click done. I don't want this one over here. And I'm going to go in and I added the fall season and I can go and enlarge that. And then over here, I can change the sizes. I can change the spacing. I can change the line spacing. I can decide if I want to capitalize that or not and how it's going to fit when you work with it. And then I can go and start playing with kind of colors, effects, shapes. I don't use a lot of the shapes, but that will give you kind of like a preset of different shapes that you can go in and put on your Adobe Post and put it anywhere that you want. And you can see how simple it is. So before you know, you can go in and start clicking and dragging and creating all kind of stuff. I like to use my own colors. So you can see here, this is my Mac in Art colors, which are my branding colors. In this case, it doesn't fit so nice with this image. So I might go and click on different colors over here, staying more with the fall colors that I have here. And by the way, you can change it. So you can go back and forth and change the colors and decide which colors you want to have. I can also go into a different style. So they have different kind of suggestions of style that I have here. And then I can go back here and decide, do I want to add a logo? Do I want to add an icon? I will add icon only when I have some kind of like fun stuff that I want to go and bring there. So you see I have how many icons, bunch of icons that I can go in and bring it in to the area that I have. And then I can just go with this icon and decide to put it somewhere and replace it with another icon that I have if I want to do that. So right now what I have here, I did just a very, very simple area that I have. So what do I do with that after? I'm not going to do something very creative, but I'm going to look at the variation now. So I can go to the same one and now start playing in variation that they give me. So after doing my initial one, I can go into a variation, and all of a sudden I have an image here, and I have an image here. I have the icon that I don't want to replace, but I can maybe go in and bring another image. And if I want to go to my digital art here, I can go in and have another image here, and then go and play a little bit with the shapes that I have. And all of a sudden, I'm going to go and have some kind of another looking shapes and then add a different color to it. And I can go ahead and do more and more, but I think it's kind of pretty easy and almost self-explanatory when I use that. What do I do after? I can download the entire image. So if I click on download, I'm just going to download it and post it anywhere. But then I can share it. And this is the part I really like, because I can share it directly on Facebook. I can share it directly on Twitter. I can even share it now in the classroom. So if I click on the classroom and I can go back here, I can actually go back here and share it directly into Google Classroom if I want. What I do a lot is I copy the link and then I publish it somewhere. I don't feel like publishing it right now because I keep publishing a lot of stuff. But basically now I have a post that can go right away anywhere that I want. I can also download it and publish it directly after I download it in Instagram. And here I have just a Spark post. And then if I go back to my presentation, I just made it kind of step by step. If somebody really wants to go over, they can see more or less how I do that. This is a screenshot of more or less what I just did now. And then I just go in and export everything and it's there. So Spark Post is probably the easier place to go to. You can upload images from your Creative Cloud, from Adobe Lightroom CC, from Adobe Stock, or make it yourself. And I usually make it myself with their Adobe applications. So now I want to go into the next area. What do I do with Photoshop? Or what do I do with Illustrator if I want to create some media, social media for Photoshop and Illustrator? And this is what I do when I get a request from a client that it wants me to do a targeted thing. like something maybe with a little bit of branding, or maybe with something that you really want to target a certain thing and not just use something as simple as Adobe Post. So you can see here I have two templates, and then I am going to show you how I make them, and then I'm actually going to show you how I make them also in Photoshop CC 2019, which makes life so much easier in certain things. So what I do here, I also included in here another link, and Clara, if you can post it later, the link for my Adobe Spark, they can have a link here to social media image sizes and cheat sheets, so they can know exactly. So if I click on this right now, just to show you, I won't be able to do it because it's not live, you can see that I have a PDF there that can give you the sizes and everything that you need. So this Adobe presentation that I made in Spark page is clickable, and you see all the stuff there and everything. Actually, if I go to my preview right now, you can see all the stuff that I have and the template. And now if I go into the social media template, this is what you get, and you feel free to download that. And these are really nice cheat sheets for everything that you have there. It's a whole entire PDF with all the sizes that you need, which I think it's very, very helpful. So I'm going to go in and fire up Photoshop and click on Photoshop, and you see I was like Julia Child, like cooking, and I prepared it already, some stuff that I want to go in and work with. So what you see in front of here, I prepared two kind of templates. And when I do social media, I tend to use a lot of the artboards in Photoshop. So if you're looking at my layers panel right now, I do have the images here, and I have a template in each one of them. And then I am going to go, so this is one artboard, and this is another artboard. And I can go in and let's say start with the first artboard. And then this one I did in Photoshop 2018. And then if I'm looking at my layers panel right now, you can see that I did everything with the vector tools and everything that I have here. So basically I put place text here as a template, so I can put anything else that I want in here. And then I kind of like went in and made it bottom, upper left, upper right. And then I put one image over here, and you can see I made a clipping for this image on the top left. So now what if I want to go and bring another image? One of the things that I'm doing, I can go to File and Place Embedded. And then let's say I'm going to go into the top right and do File and Place Embedded. And I can go into one of my images, and let's say I'm going to go into downtown and graffiti, and then click place, and you see the image, it's so big here, and I'm going to click OK, and I'm going to hold down the Option key and create just a clipping right away, and then go to my Move tool and start moving it around, and I still didn't even change the sizes yet because I have it over there and I can decide later on the size. If I want to change the size, I'm going to go to Command T or Control T, and then now because I'm using Photoshop 2019, I don't have to hold down my Shift key. I'm not that sure I like this new thing yet, but I'm using it. If I want to add any other effect to this right now, I can either load the selection to it if I want, and go to, let's say, hue and saturation, and then I'm going to go back here to my properties panel, and then go into my adjustment and just go in and play a little bit with the hue and saturation over here, and you can see
Chana,
I have, yes.
We're seeing right now your Spark page.
Oh, you don't see that?
Yeah, so I think we have to switch up. No, it's okay. I think we have to switch over to the other application.
Okay, so I'm going to go back to this. And where am I going to? That's when you have to help me.
Yeah, so if you click on share screen, then you can change the application from your web browser.
Yeah, but why don't I see that right now?
Oh, so if you actually have to go to the share screen icon up at the top
Yeah, I don't even see it.
in Blue
It-
Jeans.
yeah. Oops, it took me away from blue jeans. Hold on a second.
Oh, no problem.
Okay, I'm going to blue jeans. Oh, okay, I see that. Yay. So I have to stop sharing, right? And share this one. Sorry. I'm so used to Connect, so I'm like all over the place. Oh, okay.
No, it looks great.
Oops. Okay. So I'm going to start again from the beginning. And okay, so this is what you have right now. I have my layers panel, and I'm so sorry about this, guys. I have the layers panel over here. And I'm going to click and bring the property to the other side. And I have two artboards, and I prepared it ahead of time. So you can see here I have the two artboards. I'm going to work with one artboard right now and then move the other one. But sometimes I just duplicate it and then rechange the files when I have it. So I'm going to go to the first one, place text here. I just did kind of like for position only. I can do any kind of type. But I'm going to go back to my shape, and I created shapes already. So that's kind of like my template at the moment. After doing that, I'm going to show you how I can do it now in 2019, which might be a lot easier, especially for students and beginners, because they're not going to need to work so much with the clipping mask as much. So I'm going to go to the top right, and I'm going to do File and Place Embedded. And I'm going to select the same image and place it, and then click OK, and I placed it as actually a smart object right away because I have it in my preferences that everything that I place should be a smart object. If you hold on the Option or Alt key, you can create a clipping mask, and you see it goes directly into the container that I prepared ahead of time, which happened to be the shape tool, the rectangular shape tool. Now I can go to Command or Control T, and then not hold down the Shift key. I keep still saying hold on the Shift key, and then go in and change the size. And if I really want to add any effect to it, I can load the selection and go to one of my adjustment. And let's say I'm going to go in to hue and saturation. And I'm going to hue and saturation because it's really easy to demonstrate the colors. And now you can see I have something like that. And I already have kind of one image. And then I can go and continue doing that and basically populate the entire container with stuff that I have. And then once I'm done with it, I can actually duplicate the artboard and have a different kind of design. So if you're looking at this one, that was started the same, but I duplicated the artboard and I went in and changed the order of my shapes, and then I can put it a different way. So I can continue doing a bunch of artboards and then go out and export it in any kind of size and work with it. So I hope it makes sense. So you can see here, this is the top one. If I'm going to go back here and play with that. But this one, actually, I did it a little bit different, I think, because I am going to go in. If I double click on the center here, this is basically opens just the smart object. That's another way of doing it. And I can go in and do File, Place, Embedded here, and go directly to this area and click Place. And then let's say I'm going to do any kind of size and click OK and do a save. And if I go back into the copy that I have, you see it's already there. So this one I did without the clipping. I created a bunch of smart objects, which used to be the shapes. And then if you double click on it, you can go and paste all the stuff in it. And I want to show you a little trick for something that you can go in and put stuff in it, because you can put different kind of things with it if you can create some kind of maybe layer comps with the image that you have. So if I'm going to double click on this one and I can go back to here, I can go in and do different kind of stuff with it using the layer comps and then add a type on it. So I can go into go in and create, let's say, some text. And I'm going to call and say hello. I'm still getting used to the immediate text in Photoshop that goes right away now, like Illustrator. And I'm going to put the word hello. But now I'm going to go into my window, and then I'm going to bring my layer comps. And then I'm going to click on this one. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off the layer over here. And then I am going to do a new layer comp, and I'm going to call that image. And it's going to be based on visibility. Then I'm going to turn on the text, and then I'm going to say new layer comp, and I'm going to call it text. And then maybe I can do some other stuff, but for now I'm just going to save it. And then I'm going to go back here, and I have that over here. So now if I right click on my layer comps over here, or I can go back to the area that I have here, I can go in and convert the content or edit the content, or I can look right away into my properties and look what I have over here. You see here, don't apply layer comps, and say apply layer comps. So I can say I want this one just with the image, and I don't want this one just with the text. So I can do a lot of layer comps and do the same kind of template and go back and forth and then save it again and again. So I don't have to go again and replace it. A lot of time I will first prepare the layer comp and then place it, but you can do it after. So basically what you have here in this example is one area is using a template just with the shape tools and creating a clipping. The other one using everything as a smart object and then going directly to the smart object. Any questions about anything so far?
So again, I just posted this in the chat, but if you have any questions, feel free to post them here in the chat, and then we can address them. And then we'll save other kind of more unmute everyone at the end of the recording. Okay. Mark says it's all good.
Yeah, and then you have, I think I sent you the link for the Spark, right? I think. So we can post it again, or I can send it again. So and now I have another one. I'm jumping again. I'm going to stay in Photoshop for a little bit. And then this one, it is actually working with the new, did I have Photoshop CC? Let me just make sure I did the right Photoshop CC. Yes. I'm going to go in, and this is with the new Photoshop over here. And then I'm going to go and just go and edit the toolbar. And you see I have the frame over here. This is with the new frame tool. Not sure I'm still crazy about it, but you can do fast stuff directly with it as much as you can. So here is a sample of that working with the frame tool over here. And then I'm going to go and do another one. So let's say I wanted to create something already. So I'm going to go in and decide what do I want to do with the frame tool. I can go in and make it as a square, or I can make it as an ellipse at the moment. But I basically can do any shape that I want later and create it into a frame. So I can go and show you how to do that too. So I'm going to go in and click, let's say, and drag just a frame. And you see this is kind of like my frame tool. Now I might use my CC libraries, and then I can go into one of the images that I have, and then basically go in and click and drag it directly to here. And look what I have here. It's already in there. I clicked and I dragged in it, and it's already directly inside the area that I have. I didn't have to do any clipping or anything with it. So I can go in and double click on it, and you can see that I can go in and select the frame and make the frame really small. Now that I want to do that. And if you double click again, or hold on the shift key, you can go in and click on the content and move it around. So if it's not big enough, you can go and make it bigger or smaller. So it gives you kind of like an immediate way to work with the stuff that you have. Of course, you can drag and drop it as a smart object as well, and then do all the tricks that I did before as a smart object. So I can go back also and go into a circle over here. Oh, I did the wrong circle, of course, because I'm not used to it yet. And I'm going to go into the new circle, and I'm going to go in and do a circle. And now I'm going to go in and do place embedded or place link. This is really up to you. How do you want to work with your workflow? If something is repeating and has to change, like a logo, I will do place linked. If not, I'm going to always do place embedded. And now I can go back here and select just kind of an area, and let's say place. And you see it's right away goes in there. So no clipping is required here. And I think this one's going to be really great for our students, because for them sometimes, depending on the level of Photoshop they're going to work, they really are mixed up a little bit with the clipping and how to do the clipping and the shortcut that they want to use. Is it paste into or anything that you have? And in this case, it's an immediate one. And that's going to make their life a lot easier. And then some of the educators also makes their life a lot easier too, because they're going to see how nice it is when you're going to go in and you can go back and click on it. Why is it not clicking here? Because I didn't click on the right thing. But if I click on both of them, now it is going to move them together. You see, this one is still a smart object because I placed it. So if I'm going to go back here and do anything that I want here, of course, any change, any adjustment, any special effect, anything that I want to do here, will go in and reflect it all the way there. And then if I'm going to go back here to the image that I have, I'm going to have, I think I didn't save it the right way right now because it goes back and forth to my library right now, but you can do any change that you want at any time. So libraries are really great to drag and drop stuff directly to your social media, and also the new shape tool. One of the things that it's actually fun with the shape tool too, I can go in and type something and I'm going to say hello social. And then I'm going to select that and make it a little bit bigger. And I know that I can go, if I need to change the type, to change the typeface, to change the sizes or anything, I'm probably not going to go this route that I'm going to show you now. But if I don't, and already my client knows exactly how it's going to work, I can actually type something and then go to the flyout menu over here and then say convert to frame. And then the social is going to be a frame. And now I can go into my artboard, to my library and click inside and look what happens. Right away, I have the image in there. The good news about it, it's immediate. The bad news for me about it, I typed social the wrong way. I have a special mistake, spelling mistakes. I don't like the font, not good. So if you need to change stuff and you need to do stuff with changes, this route is not really working. What does it mean? If you go into downtown LA and I want to maintain downtown LA and then I want to change some stuff, I will probably go in and go to my libraries and then maybe bring some of the images that I have. Let's say I'm going to go and bring this image, make this image a little bit bigger, click OK. And in this case, I'm going to go in and clip it to that. What am I gaining here? I can still go to the type. I can still go in here and go back if I went to the right place. I can still go to the type, and then I can go in and I want to do that. I can go in and select that and type wow, wow, and change the typeface, and this is really non-destructive. So you see two ways of working in your social media. Do you do the non-destructive? If it changes all the time, do you do the immediate one? You can take anything that you have, take the new frame tool, and then go in and put the stuff right away into it. So you can see here, I have the social over here. I have the image. I can still go in and move the image and double click on it and change it. but I basically, I'm inside. I'm kind of cannot change actually the text that I have because the text is a frame. Does that make sense? So this is kind of like destructive all the way. But could be a very fast one for us to use if you want to go in and move it all the way up and say this is how it's going to be. If I want to use, by the way, both of them together and move them, I have to either hold on the shift key or double click so they're going to move together. Another thing that I can do here is basically can do any other shape that I want. So I can go even into a custom shape. And I can go into my heart and go in and click and select that and go back here and convert that to a frame. And once this one is a frame, I can have an image going directly in there. And now if I have this image, I'm going to double click on the image. Oops, I didn't want to double click on it. I'm going to click on the image and hold on the shift key to select it. And then I can go in and move the image that I have. So you can see that's everything is moving together. If I double click on it, I'm moving, and look at my immediate shape here for social media goes directly into a heart without doing any clipping. Does that make sense? So I kind of started to do different kind of template to create it while you're working. I have another example here, and I think I have some other example, but I don't think I should open them. I think I should go back here to my blue jeans again. And do I have, Clara, that's a question for you. Do I have to go back to share the screen again if I want to go and change it to to Illustrator? Yes? Or it's okay? So I can click here and switch, right?
You should be able to. So if you,
Yay!
yep,
You
there
guys
you
see
are.
me now? Yay! Oh, I learned something, right?
That's
Yay!
great.
I'm good. Actually, I'm starting to like blue jeans. I think it's fun.
Yeah.
Yeah. So here what I have is a kind of social media start and a social media end. And this is actually something very simple I did with level 1 students. And that was the first day them looking at Illustrator even. And the first thing they wanted to do is just let us make a shape and let's make a social media with something that we have here. So again, I can go in and divide it into stuff, but in this case, I basically made bunch of shapes here, and then I place the stuff in here. So I can go in and file and place. And then if I wanted to create a certain, I'm going to go back here and I'm going to my social media add folder, and I'm going to go to the link, and I clicked in here and just created some kind of an image. And I told already my students while we did that, if I wanted a certain size, I probably gonna go in and mask. But since they were level 1, I didn't really, at first day, I didn't do any masking. But a lot of time what I do, I will do a mask. What does it mean? I'm gonna cut it out from the screen for a minute. And then I'm going to decide how do I want my object to be. So I can go back here and select it ahead of time, and then also go back to my align panel and then align it exactly to the center. And these kind of things I will go in and do it ahead of time. So I'm doing center to center, and then I'm going to click on draw inside. So once I clicked on draw inside, it's already waiting for me and knows that I want to go and have a certain size. All what I need to do now is actually paste. And I pasted it inside, and now you can see this is my image. It's not big enough, so I'm going to go in and make it a lot bigger. And now you can see that the image already have some kind of a stroke to it because it's already masked inside an area that I prepared for it. So if I need to prepare other stuff and put it inside here, I'm going to leave the draw inside still in, And now I can go and change some more stuff. So I can do file and place, and anything that I'm going to go in and place inside the area. Let's say I want to go into downtown and place something that looks like that. It will go in and place it absolutely inside the area that I have. And you see here, if I go to the side, I can go into this side, on that side. So that could be a logo or any other stuff that I have. And I can hold on the shift key and I can have another image and it's part of this mask. If I don't want it to be part of this mask anymore, I basically double click and now this image is a standalone. Now I'm going to go back to my layers panel and I'm going to go in and call that image. And even just in Illustrator, image is really for organization. I do use a lot of images, layers in Illustrator. But what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go in and click on Draw Behind and create another layer. So I have a bottom layer right away, and then I'm going to call it Background. And now I can go in and sample any color that I want and go into my rectangle. And since it's for Instagram, I basically don't need any bleeds. And you can see I already have a background. And the background went directly to the bottom because I told it to draw inside, to draw behind. Right away, I have to click on Do Not Draw Behind anymore, because if I want to go and elaborate on it, I can go in and continue. If I want to go in now and create more kind of areas to play with, I can go in and create some kind of a rectangle to go and create, but sometimes I will go in and create a rectangle, let's say over here, and let's say I have this rectangle, I want to move it to another layer, and maybe I'm going to give it just a different color so we can see that. And before even drawing inside, I can do other stuff. What if I wanted to divide it to different sections without working hard? I can go to Object, and I can go to Path, and I can split that into little grids. And then I can go back here. I'm not going to add guides to it, but I can do 2 rows and 2 columns, and then maybe I'm going to play a little bit with the gutter on top of it and click OK. So now I have automatically 4 cute little objects that I did with the grid. Each one of them can become one mask. What does it mean? And I can show you the different way. If I want to put the same image in all the 4 of them, and that's really important, I'm going to have to select the 4 of them. And you can see it won't let me mask it, because mask does not work with more than one object at a time. So I'm just going to duplicate it just to have another area over there. But while I'm selecting it, what I'm going to do now is basically go to Object and go to Compound and make it into a compound. And when you make something into a compound, you can see it became one object. And once it became one object, I can actually say Draw Inside and go in and say File and Place. And now I can take one image here and place the entire image through the entire area. So I can have the same image going inside the area that I have. And then if I go back to the content, you can see I still have the entire image. And then if I double click, I have the mask here, and I can go back, and these are my objects and these are my images. So if I'm going to go to my images and now I want to make it a little kind of nicer, I can even go into any kind of blending mode and then can go in and change stuff like that. And you can see I have different kind of thing. I might go in and turn this one off right now. So you can see that, but you can see the area that you have here. And I can go back here and select that. Oops, I want to go in and actually have the background on. And I can have the image off. So just to see that. You see, this one I did it like that. If I wanted it one by one, I actually have to go into all the 4 of them and go one by one. Select one, click, and then place the image. Select the other one, click on draw inside. I have to take the other one away and do it one by one. So you can see the options over here. If you have to go in and do something that looks the same, you have to make it as a compound. Compound will work perfect for images that not even attaching to each other. Unite, we're going to work perfect with images that you want to attach to each other. They're not going to work with compound. So if I select these two and I make it into a compound, they're going to be one image here or one shape. And then I can do file and place. And then I can go in and place another image of this beautiful wedding cake. And then I can go in and move it around. And you can see I have it going through the two images here. So I want to make sure you guys understand kind of like the difference between going in and placing images in Illustrator just as something like that, or just placing it as masking. So what I do a lot is I create some kind of a template, and then I will mark the template with different kind of shapes and basically mask it one at a time, save it as a template, bring it back and do that. So if I go into File Open, I think I have a template here, and I call it Social Media AIT. And you can see here, everything is for position only, and you have the stuff, and I even have these little symbols over here. I lock them, but these are genericon fonts that I actually have here. If anybody wants, I can share it with you guys, and then I put it in, and now all what I need to do is populate it in different kind of ways. Does that make sense?
Yeah, we have a quick question from Erica. So she asked, this acts like the frames in InDesign?
It's better than the frames in InDesign, because the frames in InDesign will take one image at a time. This one's going to take a bunch of images, one on top of each other. So let's say if I'm going to select this one, oh, this one is already a mask, but let's say I'm going to go to this one, right? And then I'm going to click on it. So basically in InDesign, you can do one image only inside. So you can do File and Place and go back here and then go into any of my digital art and put it in there, and it's okay. And that's what's happened. That's pretend this is InDesign. If I want to add another image to it, you cannot in InDesign. It has to be another frame. This one does not have to be another frame. I can just go back here to the clipping, select just the clipping itself, say draw inside again, and now I can even either place or even draw something. So I can go just like a little star, and you see the star is inside. And then I can even more than that, and one of my favorite things to do is actually go into the brush and then select any beautiful brush that we have, and I'm going to go into the brush panel. Hopefully I have some kind of a brush, and then I'm going to change it to a different color. And now the drawing sign is still in there. And see what I can do? I have an image, I have a star, and I can draw with a brush inside. So it's way more robust than InDesign. I can do so many images, one on top of each other. And also the good news here is in InDesign, when you have to do stuff like this with type, you have to make it into outline. Here I do not need to do anything into outline. I can go into hello. I can select that. I can click draw inside. I can paste some inside. You see the image is still in there. I have an image inside right away, and guess what? If I'm going to go into my type and highlight the type, and I'm going to say bye, you see I have the same thing here. I can go in and change that. The type is live. You cannot do that in InDesign. InDesign, the type is basically has to be outline and all kind of stuff like that. So I can just go back here and play with it. What else can I do here? Can I add a brush to it? Yes, I can. I can go back here, and what if I didn't want the image and I wanted just to go back here and draw inside, and I'm going to deselect the image, but go in to a different kind of area, and I'm going to go in to a brush, and then I am going to, I don't want to select the background. I'm going to go into the area here, and I can basically go with a brush and draw inside the area that I have. As you can see here now, I'm drawing inside. Does that make sense? Did that answer the question?
She says that rocks. Thank you.
Yeah. So I have a lot of examples. Actually, I can show you a lot of Spark tricks with Illustrator and Photoshop to do all this crazy stuff with brushes and all kind of stuff. That can be an addition for you to work with other stuff if you want to do it for social media or for any other things. Does that make sense? Okay. So basically, I'm going to go back to blue jeans, and then I am going to go back to here and then go back to my Spark here. So you can see here, oh, that's not my Spark. That's my Spark. Yeah. So you can see here, I have the template over here. And then I don't have time for it, but now I have like creating engaging images using mobile apps. So you can see here, this is Adobe Mix. This one I used with Adobe Sketch. This one I prototype a social media campaign with Adobe XD. And this is actually a marketing page that I did with Page to create something for somebody that wanted to start a business. And I do have actually a links directly going to this one and to my presentation that I did about my parent to tell a story. So I gave example of market your product, tell a story, create a travel blog, create a tutorial. So you can see I have a tutorial about making it on mobile. You can see everything. I have not tutorial, but this is kind of like my regular artwork. So if I click here, you can see that my Spark page goes to just my artwork. And then over here, you can see just stuff like that. And this is basically non-digital. That's my artwork, that non-digital that I do on my spare time. And then if I go back here, let's say this one is a tutorial. So it's a small tutorial about how to work with some of the mobile apps. And like I said before, I use that and see how to collaborate, how to start, how to do everything. And this is my mobile apps. And now you can actually, I have to start using the new one. I'm testing Gemini, the new one. So that's going to be the new one, but we're not allowed to show it yet. I mean, we're allowed to show images, but we're not allowed to show actually how to use it yet. But you can see here, if anybody kind of curious, this is actually a tutorial how to use some of the Adobe mobile apps. Does that make sense? And then in the end of my Adobe Spark here, I just have some stuff about me, and then my Behance and who I am, and that's it.
Great. And well, thank you so much. And so for those who are watching the recording, Chana, if they have additional questions, how can they get in touch with you?
Well, if they have a link there to my email and a link there to other stuff, and then basically can send me an email. They can catch me on Twitter. They can catch me on all of my social media. They can be my friend on LinkedIn, and I can send them links. I'm very happy to share that everywhere. So if you want me to share with you some of my education Spark stuff, I'll be happy to do that.
Great. Well, thank you again so much for joining us and for sharing this presentation. I have so many ideas now about social media and how I can use all these different Adobe apps to help out with that. So really appreciate it.
Okay, thank you. And anytime we can do another one and creative stuff with brushes. I'll be happy to do that.
Sounds
very
great.
Soon. Okay.
Well, for those who are tuning into the recording, please join us next Wednesday, November 14th. We'll have Mark Dubois talking about Captivate Overview. So be sure to stay tuned next week for additional tips with Adobe. Thank you for tuning in.
Thank you.